Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have an awesome guest on the show today. I have Terry Redmond. Terry, excited to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Gresham. I appreciate it.
Yeah, super excited as well too. Terry's doing so many awesome and phenomenal things. Been trying to get him on the show, so I'm super excited to have him finally on to talk about all the genius and awesome things that he's doing. But of course, before we do that, I want to read a little bit more about Terry so you can hear about some of those awesome things. And Terry launched IBI Marketing with a clear mission to bring integrity and innovation to the digital marketing space. Before founding IBI, he served as the vice president at a major marketing firm, which gave him deep insights into the industry's challenges and opportunities. He identified a gap in the market. Small and medium-sized businesses, they lacked ethical and effective marketing partners, and built IBI to fill that void. And I'm in a networking group with Terry, and he's a phenomenal, phenomenal person, has loads of experience and knowledge. I want to call him an OG within digital marketing, especially in SEO, but I don't know if he wants me to date him there, but he knows lots and lots and lots around things that can help you to be visible. And one really cool thing that I found out as well too, he was played in 3 Rose Bowls. He's a football national champion. He's a 3-year journeyman in the NFL. He played semi-pro Super Bowl and was the MVP. Terry, excited to have you on the show. Are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Man, I am. Thank you. What a great intro. I appreciate it, but I appreciate it. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot easier to read those things and probably a lot harder to accomplish all the things you've been able to do. But I guess to kind of kick everything off, let's rewind the clock a little bit. Hear a little bit more on how you got started. What I call your CEO story.
Thank you. Well, you already kind of said it, how I got started in this industry. I mean, I was actually at the time, I've been doing digital marketing on and off for a while. I was a manager for Johnson & Johnson. And because of the big budgets, we had opportunities back then to advertise in digital spaces. But it wasn't really any competition just doing that. Then I worked for iHeartRadio, and then I'm showing you how my age here. And then we're doing stuff with MySpace and really crushing it and doing things with our morning shows. And that was unheard of at the time. Bottom line is, by the time I left there, started working for Facebook and similar companies. So I got into social media. I helped launch the check-in app. Remember that. So that tells you how long I've been doing it for. And loved it. I loved helping people. So that's kind of the core of who I am. I always love finding something that can always help and enrich one's lives. And so we realized at that time, social media was a way that was helping businesses grow and small businesses compete with larger businesses by doing something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you kind of seen the transition and even the checking in. And I remember I had my top 6, I think, in MySpace on my MySpace page and all those things. And it's so funny because I imagine you being in marketing for like such a long period of time. I imagine the ways, maybe the methods or the platforms have evolved and changed. But I imagine like a lot of those core principles probably are tried and true.
The core principles definitely always are. Algorithms change, but if the core of doing the work is always remains the same. And some of that core stuff, right, is always be learning, right? And you have to learn because things change all the time. If you do not like studying or learning, and you want to be one of the top marketing people in this industry, then you might as well not be in it, right? So those who are average or below average, I guarantee they do not study every day. I study every day to be that top tier. And so you have to do that. And by the way, so do my peers that are in the same situation.
Yeah, so that makes so much sense. And I feel like there's such a parallel between like being a great athlete and being able to kind of be great in business and great in marketing at that. And I imagine like you having that competitive background, the experience and being an athlete probably plays a really big part in you being able to kind of build that foundation too.
Thanks, Gretchen. It's definitely a different mindset. And, sometimes to a detriment. At times I expect everyone to be like me. I think you've heard me in the meeting sometimes, right?
Yes.
I'm like, get your mind right. You guys should be doing this. But you realize, meet somebody where they're at. And not everybody is ready to, is always that focus or want to be that focus. But I will tell someone, if you are and you give 100% of effort, which you believe is your effort, right? That is the most important. You never fail if you give 100% of your effort, right? Think about it. You can go back and say, I didn't accomplish this goal, and then you can review and see how you can prepare differently. This goes in business. This goes in your marriage. It goes in your relationship with your friends. It goes in, relationship with yourself, right? But if you can figure out and you prepare yourself and you keep learning and learning, but you give 100% effort on how to do that, you're never a loser. You're always successful in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you've been able to kind of have that mentality. I definitely have heard you, say that in the meeting. And I think that, I always say if you run your own race, you can't lose. And I think so many times we get caught in looking at somebody else's lane and saying, hey, I want to do this or I want to do that. But if we stay true to ourselves and be 1% better every single day, then we're kind of on that quest to continue to kind of get better and better and better, and maximize our potential.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's good. I like that. Run your own race.
Abs-
Never lose.
Absolutely. And so I wanted to drill down more. I know I touched a little bit upon your background, like being that OG and having that experience and knowledge. Could you drill down a little bit more? Take us through how you're serving and working with the clients and customers you're serving now.
Like a process how I onboard a client or
Yeah,
that's what,
process and what services you're offering them as well.
okay. Well, thank you for asking that. Services that I offer, we build beautiful websites, awesome mobile apps, custom and generic. Matter of fact, our generic website, mobile apps start at only $175 a month.
Right.
You heard me right, 175 a month.
Nice.
So we know that the average person can afford a $50,000, $200,000 mobile app, so we offer that solution. But then we get business seen online, and how do we do that? We do it by doing SEO, pay-per-click, and social media marketing. And so you're Googling somebody, right? Make sure you show up on top of the search engines. That's exactly what we do, as we get you seen on top of search engines. If someone has mentioned your product or service on social media, or that ad that finds you, like I talked about that TV I was going to buy the other day, and we added it finds you, right? And you click on, fill out a form. So hopefully people can give you a call or um, fill out a form so you can obviously, get some revenue. We do other little things as well: programmatic marketing, geo-targeting, email marketing, campaigns, and coming soon. I'm not going to mention here. I'm coming back because I'm developing right now, about 2 weeks out for phase 1 of an AI workflow. That's going to be awesome. It's going to replace, help a lot of small businesses out. So I'm looking forward to it. But that's pretty much what I do. The process that you mentioned with a client, hey, my goal is get to know everybody. So I am just, I think to even say that, the core of who I am, right? Like I'm going to be a little vulnerable here and talk a little personal so you can see how it permeates through my business. My personal mission statement, I wear this rubber band I've had since maybe 17, 18 years old. That I keep switching out the same rubber band, switching out. But imagine my personal mission statement: have a positive impact on everybody I meet. Be kind and forgiving, patient and understanding, educate while constantly being educated. All this will be done with God as my foundation, right? That is something that I see and read every day, if not multiple times a day. I touch it on the way out when I go to the car. I have it up there like on a poster. So that also bleeds into my company's motto, right? So we have over 64 employees and contractors that work for us full time. We have about 2 to 5 that are part-timers. But the bottom line is we want to help everyone in our sphere of influence. If we can help you, we also want to make sure that I can point you in a direction where somebody else can help you, right? Or we can give you advice that you can do some things on your own. We're here to make sure that you succeed. And by giving out that goodwill, it comes back. So when onboarding somebody, first of all, it's the initiation of that conversation on what they need, where they want to go, et cetera, what we could do for them. So say if this person moves to the next level and they could possibly be a client, we have an onboarding documents about, depending on what platform you're doing, it's 20 to 25 questions that really gets to know who they are. And then we have a kickoff call meeting, which makes sure that everything aligns. So making sure that what they believe in, their goals are and our goals realistically, that they make sense. So we're going in the right direction, right? And that's how everything begins. And then we customize things to fit their needs. So it's not just in a box and that's it. Everything's a little customized. Not everything's exactly the same for everybody, but we have a general starting point. And that's the process on with our clients. And I will tell you this: during the pandemic, so many marketing businesses, digital marketing business, went out of business, right? And by the way, they panicked as well. And then I get it, fine, it's cut me off, done. I called everybody back the next day because I realized I'm making everybody money. I mean, I'm not talking about just 15, 20%, 100%, 1000%, 10,000% return on investment. So I went back in and I showed them full report, showed everybody number. I said, before you fire me, hopefully you fired every single other person that is not making you revenue generating, or every single thing. Because I'm the only thing is keeping you in business of feeding your family. And with that mentality, I kept every single client. And I just remembered to my core, what I do is my goal is to help that client. So we figure out the goals ahead of time, make sure that they get a positive ROI. Now, obviously, the bigger clients want just branding, right? But majority of my small, medium-sized businesses, they just want return on investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you shared that. And, just getting the opportunity to kind of hear. I always say, like, of course, it's important to know what a person does, but I think the most important thing sometimes is understand why they do it. And you having that reminder with the rubber band and being able to kind of touch that every time and every day to know that that fuels not just you, but your business and your organization definitely translates over to, clients and customers and the conversations you're having, the realization of the thing that you're doing. Because I think when we kind of sometimes get through those challenging moments, like you referenced the pandemic or whatever time we might be going through in our businesses, our lives, sometimes that why ends up being that fuel that kind of keeps you going and keeps you kind of focused on understanding like there might be things changing and happening. But at the end of the day, this is what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know.
Well said.
Yeah, I know one of the times we chatted as well too offline, you talked a lot around like in the very beginning days of you kind of like thinking about and doing this, you were one of the few people that is actually having conversations and speaking on behalf of Google and being able to kind of do things like that. Can you touch base on that? And if that also laid a foundation to you being able to kind of fuel that success that you're having with clients?
Well, I would say that. So there's part success,
Mhm.
my knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So now I heard there's only 57 of us that are paid to teach this class and talk around for Google, right? Um, and that number could be less. It never really translates into a lot of ROI. But when I first started off, I had to figure out ways that I can give myself some knowledge, some business, right? Some business knowledge, working knowledge. I mean, I'm in direct contact with Google. So most people don't have that luxury unless you're spending $100,000, $200,000 a month, with Google to do that. And so with that comes to SEO, when it comes to Google My Business, when it comes to pay-per-click, I have elite access, not just system entry level customer service rep, elite access um, to Google and Facebook. So now with that being said, is um, you mentioned about being one of those few people. I will say this is that it never generated a lot of business, but I felt that I had to have credentials to be there.
Mm.
And to be strictly honest, there's not a lot of people of color in my space, right? And especially at the level that and knowledge that I'm at. And so, uh, I want to make sure that I was definitely accredited when starting to do this. So that's one of the reasons that I have all that knowledge that I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that speaks directly to you. But as you said, before, like that foundation of who you are in terms of like being excellent at your craft and being the best and world class that you can be, within what you're doing. Because I think even though it may not have, I imagine, directly related to like having business, I'm sure it provides a lot of confidence and a lot of expertise and knowledge, for the clients that you're working with that, hey, Terry has his pulse on what's happening, what's changing. And that helps out me within my business and know that we are investing in the person in the team that actually will help us to get to where we want to be as an organization.
I completely agree with you, my man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good, good, good. I like when you recap it. You always sound so much better than I did.
There we go. Well, no, I mean it's so much easier to recap it than harder than it is to actually do the work. And I think so many times we see the success, see the things you've been able to do, the number of employees being one of the 57 or so people that are able to talk around the world, and we think that it just happens at a snap of a finger. But there's a process that you've gone through, talking about your experience from MySpace and all those things that you've been able to do that builds up into where you're at now. So I almost wonder if that's part of what I like to call your secret sauce. It could be for yourself, your business, or a combination of both. But I wonder if it's that being fueled by excellence, is that part of the secret sauce? And also being willing to say that, hey, I have this expertise, I have this knowledge, and be able to kind of translate that to the gap for the small to medium sized businesses. Cause I think so many times people could say, hey, I know all these things. So I'm going to work with the big wigs, the Fortune 100s, which I know you have some of those, but still being willing to, for lack of a better term, translate that and be able to impact those small businesses. Do you feel like that's part of your secret sauce?
Wow. Secret sauce. That's interesting. So here's what I would say when it comes to secret sauce is I've had the pleasure of being on the field with 85 plus thousand, sometimes 90,000 people screaming, right? I've had and millions of millions, tens of millions watching on TV. Uh, you know, I, um, also was, in the Greek system at a big school, University of Washington. I was, between the dorms and live-ins and all stuff. People know this, but I was also homecoming king for that. There's like 2 homecoming kings: student body votes, and then like your leadership votes. So I wasn't the academic one. I was kind of like the social one that got it, which is pretty. But the point is, it's pretty cool. So your eyes are on you playing football, and that you have a lot of eyes that are on you, right? The reason why I say this is also I had the opportunity for like the top donors in the state of Washington and across the board and some overseas. They had me, which I didn't like at the time, being 17, 18, 19 years old, made me have dinners with these individuals. Right. And so at the beginning, I probably didn't feel like I felt like I should be in the room or why and asking these questions. But now you got it 4 or 5 years I've been doing this. And then now you're also presenting and teaching when I was doing mortgages, teaching first time home buyer classes to multimillionaires, helping them get properties, realizing that I'm educating them, right? I'm teaching in a class setting of like 3, 4, 500 people. My classes were so popular, right? And so I felt the confidence build up over the years that I know I could be in that room, right? That's again, a lot of my friends are, they're not going to name drop, but are like superstars. You wouldn't believe who they are now. Legends, alive or passed away, that are probably one of the most influential people in the world that I've met and known. I'm in the room with them, right? I talk to them. I know them. They know who I am. So now this goes back to what I said before. Secret sauce is if you genuinely are who you are, you care, and you prepare accordingly, that's where your confidence comes in. If you fail, it's okay. Because the thing about it is I failed way more times than I succeeded. But the issue is I just keep getting up, right? I keep getting back up and learning. I learn from my mistakes. I address it. I keep doing it, right? And so with that being said, as long as I continue to give myself that effort, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably my secret sauce is just preparation and effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I love that you talk around that confidence piece. And I think in Thinking Grow Rich, I think he even talks around the power of self-confidence and how that I think a lot of times we think that we wake up and we have that self-confidence, which I guess sometimes can, happen. But a lot of times you hear this in athletes is that confidence comes because I've done it over and over and over and over again before I'm in front of everybody. And I think when you do that in sports, you do that in business, you do that in life, you prepare for success. You prepare if you're going to be successful, even if you have those things that don't happen the way that you want them to go. You get back up and you do it again and again and again. That actually fuels and is the foundation of that overall self confidence.
Short memory, learn from it, move on, right? By the way, that's what everyone is. So again, that's the thing, that's life, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, I just out of my curiosity, I want to know like what fueled you to be able to kind of like have that. I don't want to say obsession, but you might say obsession with the self confidence, with building and being better. What kind of like planted those seeds for you to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm going to hang my hat on, and I'm going to, for lack of a better term, put in the work and do the due diligence to get to where I want to be.
My mom asked me that same question. She has no idea where I got it from. You know what? I used to work from a place of fear of failure. That used to motivate me. Then it morphed over time into I'll show you, like the na kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then I think by the time I graduated from college, it was more self, like I'm not gonna let myself down. And then once if I take care of myself, I can now do better for my friends and my family, right? So that energy permeates, And by the way, it's not easy. I said again, like I fail every time. But to answer your question, where it comes from, I think it's a maturation over time. Like my mission statement, I've changed that mission statement literally since I was 17 years old several times, but it's been solidly my mission statement for about a decade.
Yeah.
It's always changed, evolved where I was in life. And then this is the one that like has stuck in who I am. So from 17 until the last 10 years, this is pretty much where, it's been like now my mission statement. So things evolve as time goes on, right? And you just got to be able to, change that, your expectations or your blueprint. And you got to be able to, adapt with that and make sure that, you have that core value of who you are. And I think that's kind of like gives you that desire and that hunger. And I will say this, whatever my mentality is, I know it's not normal. I know it's not. And I got to be careful because I think you have these talks offline, you know, accountability partners. Some people are afraid when I do that. They're like, no, not with you. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to be that way, but what I say is like I meet people where they're at, and I don't pass judgment on that. It's where you are, where you're at, not where I'm at. It's about you, not about me, right? So, and that hunger desire is for me. It's not for anyone else. And sometimes I got to reel that back in, make sure my employees and my son and my wife and my family and my friends that I just try and be where I'm at, not or meet them where they're at. So.
Yeah, it's really valuable that you're gonna able to kind of do that. But I love that you talk around, what and how that evolution of that mentality has come about. And I think, and I know you mentioned like being definitely anchored in God. And I'm a big believer in what I like to read and remind myself of the parable of the talents. And I think a lot of times we're given gifts for a reason to be able to kind of give those things away. So I commend you for being able to kind of be in those rooms, have those opportunities and not just hoard them and say, hey, these are for me, but how that evolution has happened where it started to say, hey, fear of failure, I want to succeed. And then it becomes, hey, I want to succeed for my family. Hey, I want to give back and all those things. That evolution is such a powerful thing, which shows like how, especially from a marketing standpoint, you've been able to kind of make that evolution, been able to kind of make that impact and have all the success you've been able to have.
Hey, literally what you just said, I should have started with that first because I was kind of assumed I said that.
Yeah.
No matter what, everything starts and finishes with my faith and my believing in God, period. Everything. So when things go right, I got to make sure that I get back to my foundation. When things are good, I got to get to my foundation and make sure, this too shall pass. You kind of hear that. So sometimes I don't get too excited. I don't get too sad or too mad. I got to bring it back in, and my foundation always is God. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that out there too.
Absolutely. I think when you have that foundation, that source, and you're able to go back to it, it allows really phenomenal things to of course, happen. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or even a habit that you have. But what's something you lean on that makes you more effective and efficient?
Hack makes me more effective and efficient. Huh. It's kind of repetitive, but I think what sets me apart is the mindset. So you kept saying OG. So yes, I'm definitely one of the older people in the room here. Right? Anybody over the age of 45 typically is the old OG in our industry. But I will tell you this, uh, my mindset. So old enough to remember how traditional marketing is being done and what people are really looking for in that touch, but young enough to know that I was, the first generation born in pretty much the digital age, right?
Hmm.
Grew up with an Atari
Hmm.
and had, computer classes, which we were one of the first on. Our first school was the first college to have actually email because went to University of Washington, so it was like, think about that, registering online. I never know what it was like to go into a classroom and register, right? That you hear about, but our freshman class was like that. So that hack, that mental hack, I think that I have um, is having that, being able to blend those two, maybe generations.
Mm.
But more importantly, I think I'm telling you, it all comes down to that work ethic. It is so simple, right? How to do SEO is literally in a manual that Google gives us.
Mhm.
Social media, same thing. Don't get me wrong, it's thousands of pages. I can ask him who's read it all. All right. Who's who's done that, who's taken the classes, not just like the highlights, but then dug deeper into what's going on. It takes time to do all that. They take a little test and that's it, and then they know it. You got to keep going, and then it changes. Whatever you learn yesterday keeps changing. That hack is work. That is work, and that hard work. And then, by the way, when you come from a godly place, a faith-based place, and you come from a place of loving and giving, it comes out. I don't have to lie and make up. I made a mistake. I own it, right? When you do that, I'm telling you, when I talk to you and I said, I'm here to help, I don't have a time, but I care about Gresham so much. I want to see your success. I know we can get to you in a second. I know you. I am lucky right now to be on this podcast before you just take off somewhere. I mean, it's crazy. People don't even know, probably. They might do. I don't watch all your podcasts. I don't know, but know your whole story and where you have just sandbagged yourself because you could go through, and I could say I'm on here, right? I'm serious. So the point is, I'm sorry, I digress, but the point is my secret sauce is probably just caring and giving from a faith-based place. I also kind of stole that from somebody, and I'm going to get him shout outs. This person called John Maxwell, and he's a minister in our church that I go to, and he's in a room with the echelon of the echelon all day long on his jet, wherever he's at, across the world. And he always do these sessions after they pay tens of thousands of dollars to meet in small meeting rooms with them for about 15, 20, 30 minutes. And the question he says always comes to him every time it comes to him. And we're on pins and needles, like, what is it? He goes, they ask you, where'd you learn this from? Where'd you get this information from? And he loves it. And he sits back and he pulls out the King James Version of the Bible. And I went like this. The first time I told him, I said, what? Are you serious? He's like, all the stories are in here. This is my foundation. So everything I talk about, all my books, right? If you know about, you know it, where it all comes from, right? And so same thing that, when I come from that place, plus that work ethic, I'm telling you, it all works out. That's the secret sauce. So it's not really anything secret or do, just the effort of being consistent in doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to say so many times is it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy, because this hard part is consistently doing it on a regular basis and understanding how impactful it is. But I love that you have that foundation and you're able to kind of lean into that. And I think the quote is like, it's never crowded along the extra mile, but so few people go that extra mile. I remember reading Mark Cuban and about like how he got started. I think he worked at like an electronics store, and the reason that he succeeded was because everybody would read the manual. Like he talked about Google, they give you the playbook, but who's going to actually read the playbook? And Mark Cuban said he would come in, people would ask questions like, how do you do X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C? He says, I know, because I read the manual, but no one else did that. It was there. The key to success, all the information was there, but people didn't do the work. So I commend you for being able to kind of lean on that hack, because I think it's something that can separate you, not because you necessarily are doing anything different, or not necessarily because you know anything different. Well, I guess you do, because you are doing the work to actually get there. And I think that's where sometimes people think that it's something that is uh, um, something you snap with your fingers, or something that is undiscoverable, but really it's there. We just have to make sure we lean into it.
Gresham, everybody wants to see the touchdowns.
Yeah.
Everybody sees the touchdowns. They see social media, the trips you go on overseas and all these other places. And they go, oh, you're living this life, or they want to borrow this or do this. But what they don't see is, we're in the sports. They don't see that when everyone's on spring break and partying, you're running hills early in the morning. Yeah. When it's hot out, you're in the gym. When everyone gets to kick it on the weekends or done with their classes, and you're still in the gym working out, studying film. They don't see for work that I'm missing time with my son and spending time with my wife to make sure that companies are successful in their business, right? The studying that goes on the weekends, that people are having happy hours on a regular basis on the weekend. I'm sitting here working till it's dark, getting up at 4:30 to go to work, setting out time to do it. So they don't see all that. But what they see is, whoa, you got these many clients.
Yeah.
You got this big of a business. You're on Gresham's I Am a CEO podcast. But that's what they see, and they say, oh, but then they don't want to see or hear about the work that goes into it. It's boring.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. It's like that iceberg, or the meme where you see, like, you only see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see all the stuff that's below, or what it took to kind of get to that absolute level. So you might have already touched on this, but I wanted to ask you for what I call a little bit more of what I like to call a CEO nugget. So this is a word of wisdom or piece of advice. I like to say it might be something you would tell your favorite client, or if you hopped into a time machine, it might be something you would tell younger Terry.
Oh, geez. Were these written down? I should have let, man, this is good questions. What would I tell my favorite client or I would tell you what I tell myself. This is the hardest part. I would tell myself nothing.
Mhm,
Just be because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that.
mhm,
Right? This is God's plan.
mhm,
So the hardest part for me is to see me go through all my life struggles, right? Which was tough, and not be able to say anything, right? That would probably be the toughest. Even talking about that is like hard, right? Okay, to answer the other question is favorite client. It's like talking about your favorite child, to be honest with you. So um the thing I would tell everyone, man, sometimes they don't realize that I am me and my company, I'm gonna tell you, we are really good at what we do. I'm not just saying that. I'm we are really good at what we do. Right. And the bottom line is no matter how everyone else sells them or how big these other companies are with all these other investors and they seem big, I'm the giant killer. And the issue is that when people come in here and we tell them to do 80, 90% of the time, listen to just us. Take the advice, invest, and you will be successful. You will make money. If I gave you $5,000 and you got a 20% return on investment in the stock market, what would you do? You'd throw more money at it. I'm giving you that ROI all day long plus some.
mhm.
And sometimes they just don't listen. So to my clients, I would say most of the time, which we don't, we meet them where they're at. But I would say literally listen to us, follow our just for 90 days or 120 days, you'll see just our way only. And you'll see the total difference. So that's probably what I say to my client.
Yeah, I love those nuggets, and I think it's such a powerful thing. I think so many times as CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners, we don't realize like how important it is to invest in people that have the expertise and knowledge. And when you do that, you start to realize that you do want to pay attention to like what's being said, not just because you're investing because hey, you're running my campaign for the last 30 days or the last year. Is because like we talked around the expertise, the knowledge, the experience that you've had over years and years and years is what you're quote unquote investing in. And I love, love, love that nugget you would give yourself as well too, because I think so many times when we see ourselves or understand that, hey, you should avoid that pitfall, we don't realize those pitfalls, the times that we scraped our knee, the times that we fell are actually very instrumental into who we are. If we didn't experience those things, we wouldn't be who we are. And as difficult and challenging as it may be at that time, a lot of times those challenges are cultivating you and building that resilience of who you need to be in the future. And I think that that's such a thing, a powerful thing to lean into from a personal standpoint, but frankly, even from a business standpoint, to say that I can do more sometimes by not trying to do all the things and control all the things
Right.
and create that manipulation or control by letting things be how they are and leaning into the people or who we believe in to allow those things to happen.
Oh man, that is great. So there's no test or entry level for anyone to do our job, right? So anyone can do it. You hear this someone in their mother's basement, right, working, right? So they can do it. Doesn't mean they're bad or good. You can find a diamond in the rough, and so you're always dealing with someone that has, in fairness to these clients and people out there, they're dealing with a lot of bad actors that they've had to work with or didn't work out. So you're always apologizing and you got to prove, prove, prove. And one thing I always tell people is we are great at manipulating algorithms to drive the most relevant traffic to your website and your business, period. So there you go.
There you go. Absolutely love that. So now I want to ask you one of my absolute favorite questions, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. Our goal is to have different
Mm.
quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Terry, what does being a CEO mean to you?
You know what? And you did or said it to me about a week ago. I didn't listen to you. Yeah, as soon as you said it, I remember. What being a CEO means to me. Uh, you know what? Probably around the time when I was like in sixth grade. Um, Never meant to be. I never realized it until I was older. I think I was a leader amongst many of my peers, friends, and definitely being the oldest in my family. Right. So things that we did in college, I realized around, like I told you, some of the accolades that I received, right? And so I was naturally leaders in sports or social groups, and then obviously in business, right? And to me, a CEO is somebody who um, is because chief executive officer. I mean, you've seen those exact words. Is somebody who's a leader, whether they want to or not, right? And with that being said, comes also the responsibility, whether they want it or not. We're responsible for people's lives, responsible for people's feelings. You know, whether I wanted to or not, and I say 50-50, I'm the CEO of my household. And so I have to be set to a different standard, unfortunately, than my wife, that my son and my wife look forward to. That protection, that the support of them was to give the financial support in the family, right? Whether you agree with whatever is different, but I'm the CEO of my household. I'm CEO of many of our friends. Definitely of that, because I organize a lot of things that go on with us, and the CEO of, our networking group. You know, 4 out of the 5 years I've been president of our chapter. That's typically unheard of. So I'm typically naturally just like that. But the CEO to me means leadership, and means the responsibility. And then a good CEO means that you wield this power with the utmost loving, caring, non-self-serving uh, uh, aptitude possible. So hoping I kind of like that what I just said. I might have to say that
Yeah, we definitely
and
got to
do
get
that.
some t-shirts or some bumper stickers made with that. But I love that definition, because I think so many times we don't realize like how encompassing like that leadership role is, and I love that you said it's something that sometimes we choose to do, sometimes it's chosen for us as well too. And I think often when you're constantly, crafting and doing better and sharpening that saw, getting better at what you do, sometimes just by doing that makes you into that leader that people look up to, whether we're talking about family, networking groups, kids that we're talking to, whatever it might be. We have that opportunity to be leadership. But I love that you married that with the idea of having responsibility and being responsible, because when we understand we have that opportunity to be a servant leadership, we have opportunity to steward. It takes what we do and sometimes what we don't do to be of even more gravity and impact. So I love that definition, and love that, you've been able to kind of do that in so many different ways in your life and in the business.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Terry, truly appreciate that time. Of course, I appreciate all the awesome things you're doing. So what I wanted to do now was pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional that you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best people can get hold of you, find out about all the awesome things you and your team are doing.
Well, first, I want to say this over a social comment in general. Like, hey, times are tough sometimes, right? But take a breath, breathe, find that core person who you are, surround yourself with positive people, right? Not just people who are supporting and saying what you want them to hear, but people that are supporting and make you better, right? Mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? So I recommend everyone do that. And that permeates through all aspects of your life: friendships, parenthood, and business. Right. So that's part of something I definitely want to say with that. Um, Stay tuned also for business. I'm telling you, I'm creating this this little AI agent, phase one. Just imagine right now that people go to your site or go to this page or go to your business, and then all of a sudden they go there, whether they fill out a form or call you or not, bam, they're getting an email. They're talking about, following up with you if if you want to use your product or services or not. They're doing that for about several weeks. And then maybe they're getting a text message, or maybe they're getting a phone call as well, right? You're not doing anything. So having technology that can do all that stuff, I'm on the cusp of completing phase one of that. So within the next roughly 2 or 3 weeks, I will have the email version of that. And then hopefully within the next month, I'll have the text message of that. And within the next, by 2026, I'll have either a live person making those calls for you guys, or I'll have an AI version doing that. So that's fantastic. Something that's coming down the way. To get a hold of me, hey, he's posted this on a live right now. It's recording. So go down there, look down in the meta information there, and it has all the connections there. You can do that. Um, have that, but I'm on all the platforms, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. So reach out to me. As our product or services, I'm here to help, here to serve. And that is it for me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Was Harry, truly appreciate you and all the awesome things that you're doing. I love that last point that you kind of left us with, that nugget of like making sure to kind of take a breath and kind of like be more anchored or recalibrate or get, repositioned in where we should be. And I think that's such a powerful thing. And, sometimes the times that we're living in, but frankly, sometimes the things that we're going through personally as well, too. So thank you so much for mentioning that. Like you said so well, we'll have all the information in the show notes as well, too. And as you kind of planted a seed on. Looking forward to having you back again and again and again to talk about all the evolution of everything you've been building and you, of course, are doing. But last and not least, I want to go back to that word steward. I think so many times we have an opportunity to go through and have experiences in life to be able to sharpen the saw, get better at what it is that we do. But I think this speaks directly to who we are as individuals, to understand that those things aren't just for us to hoard, aren't just for us to put in our pocket and run away or walk away. It's for us to be able to give. So I just want to commend you for being able to do that. Thank you so much for doing that with us today. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you for the honor of being on your podcast, man. I can say that I have made it. I am CEO podcast with Gresh from Harkless. I'm telling you guys, watch this guy and you're going to see things just go through the roof. He is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to being part of your journey too, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.